So hundreds of jobs gone, entire companies leaving and our freight and postal businesses suffering. It's been a tough 12 months for Channel Islands economy since the UK government stopped low-value consignment relief. Let's remind ourselves what LVCR is. Well, low-cost items like CDs and health supplements were sent to the UK didn't qualify for VAT, so they were cheaper than in the UK shops. But in November 2011, the UK Chancellor announced the end of what he called a tax loophole. And despite a legal challenge by our governments, in April this year, the tax-free shipping stopped. Well, fulfilment companies were and still are angry, but now Jersey's Economic Development Department is looking to the Far East to save the industry, as Gillian Martindale reports.
12 months ago, Jersey company Authentic Produce were forced to adapt their online health supplement business. Their inexpensive products meant UK orders escaped VAT. The UK government decided low-value consignment relief was no longer fair and stopped it.
It's frustrating that the law has applied as a blanket policy that affects businesses that weren't abusing the system, that were just operating legitimately as an efficient way of bringing goods into the EU. But it's business. We just have to adapt and relocate accordingly.
Which is exactly what the Cartridge People, an online retailer of computer and printer accessories, has already done. The Cartridge People used to have a warehouse here on this trading estate in Jersey, but since the LVCR loophole was closed, they've moved their dispatch side of the business away from the Channel Islands. They're now posting their goods from Switzerland. But why? Well, in Switzerland, companies can take advantage of bonded warehouses, a secure unit to store their goods in before entering customs, then post them to the UK and still avoid paying VAT. Not all retailers have made that move. Play.com still have warehouses in Jersey.
We are continuing to operate our warehouse in Jersey. We have been keeping our logistics operations under review to ensure they are as effective and agile as possible, and we will continue to do so.
The loss of LVCR was a shock to the island's governments, but they're optimistic about the future.
I've just come back from an economic development business trip into China, and there are a number of big businesses out there that are very keen on the idea of establishing a logistics hub geographically in this part of the world so they can better serve the European market.
That's great news for Jersey in the long term, but for the hundreds of Channel Islanders that lost their jobs, new business can't come soon enough. Gillian Martindale, BBC Channel Islands News, Jersey.
Well, one group who campaigned to stop LVCR was RAVAS, or Retailers Against VAT Abuse Schemes. Their spokesperson, Richard Allen, told me earlier that ending the relief for the Channel Islands had been successful.
Firstly, it's very unfortunate that people have lost their jobs. It happened in the UK as well when this industry grew. It has been successful because although it has moved elsewhere, it's nowhere near as legitimate as it was previously when the UK government wasn't acting and the trade was regarded as something that was completely acceptable in terms of European VAT legislation.
Now you campaigned specifically for the Channel Islands, and the Channel Islands felt quite sort of targeted, I would say, by this campaign. Why focus on the Channel Islands?
Well, I mean, we did say a number of times we weren't picking on the Channel Islands per se. We were picking on this particular industry. It was based in the Channel Islands because of the fact the Channel Islands are within the free trade area. There are no customs borders between the Channel Islands and Europe, so it worked extremely well from that location. Moving elsewhere, there are problems because it has to be imported into another country. The reason why we were concentrating was that was where the industry was based.
Now, Richard, we know companies have moved across to Switzerland, places like this. So had this had the effect that you wanted it to achieve?
Definitely. It's now much harder to get away with this. The companies that are involved in it are hiding what they're doing. We're actually aware of some companies shipping stuff from the Channel Islands into Belgium, and we're hopeful that the Commission is going to act because there needs to be a few changes made to faulty legislation that exists in a number of European member states, and it's not compliant with the existing European directives.